the whale, who almost blew away her lake. Have you ever tried to solve a small problem and accidentally created a huge one? This is the funny and exciting story of Gail the Whale, a whale who hated being uncomfortable. One hot summer, her impatience led to the biggest disaster her little lake had ever seen. But what happened next taught everyone an unforgettable lesson. Gail the Whale lived in a small salty lake far away from the ocean. Nobody knew how a whale ended up there, but Gail loved her home. The lake was peaceful, full of fish, frogs, turtles, ducks, and many other creatures who considered Gail their friend. Although Gail was kind-hearted, she had one weakness. She loved comfort more than anything else. If the water was a little cold, she complained. If it was a little warm, she complained. If a tiny bug landed on her head, she acted as if the sky were falling. The other animals often laughed at her dramatic behavior. One frog joked, "Gail, if a feather touches your tail, you'll probably ask for a new tail." Everyone laughed, except Gail. One year, summer arrived earlier than usual. The sun shone brightly every day. The lake slowly became warmer and warmer. Most animals continued enjoying their lives, but Gail felt miserable. Every morning she floated near the surface and groaned loudly. "Oh dear, this heat is terrible. I can't survive another day like this." The fish rolled their eyes because Gail said the same thing every day. One afternoon, a tiny goldfish named Goldie swam up beside her. Goldie had once lived in a little boy's fishbowl and knew many things about humans. Gail immediately began complaining about the weather. Goldie listened patiently and then said, "Humans use fans when they feel hot. Fans blow cool air and help them feel comfortable." Gail's eyes became as wide as dinner plates. "A fan!" she exclaimed excitedly. "That sounds perfect. I need one immediately." From that moment, Gail thought of nothing else. She imagined herself relaxing in cool air while everyone admired her cleverness. The next morning, she announced her plan to the entire lake. "Friends, I'm going to build the biggest fan ever created." The animals looked worried. The turtles advised patience. The frogs said the hot weather would soon pass, but Gail refused to listen. Day after day, she collected giant branches, reeds, vines, and pieces of driftwood. She worked tirelessly. Birds watched from above and wondered if Gail was building a castle instead of a fan. Soon the fan became enormous. It was taller than the tallest tree near the lake. Gail proudly admired her invention. "This masterpiece will solve everything," she declared. Finally, the day arrived to test it. Every animal gathered around to watch. "Stand back!" Gail shouted dramatically. "Prepare to witness greatness!" Gail pushed the giant fan with all her strength. At first, a gentle breeze moved across the lake. Gail smiled happily. "Ah, this is wonderful," she said while enjoying the cool air. But then the fan started spinning faster and faster. The breeze became a strong wind. The strong wind became a powerful storm. Suddenly, huge waves began crashing across the lake. Fish flew through the air like flying arrows. Ducks bounced across the water, yelling, "Emergency! Emergency!" One turtle accidentally rode a giant wave and shouted, "Look at me! I'm surfing!" Even during the chaos, some animals couldn't stop laughing. Then disaster struck. The enormous waves crashed against the shore and pushed water out of the lake. Gallons and gallons of water spilled into nearby fields. The lake level began dropping quickly. Gail stared in horror. "Uh-oh," she whispered. Soon half the lake was gone. The fish, frogs, ducks, and turtles looked at her angrily. "You emptied our lake because you couldn't wait a few days," they shouted. Gail felt terrible. She had only wanted to cool herself down, but now everyone was suffering. To make matters worse, the shallow water became even hotter under the blazing sun. As the days passed, Gail became weaker and weaker. For the first time in her life, she could not escape discomfort. She realized she had spent years complaining about tiny problems instead of learning to handle them. One evening, she sadly gathered her friends. "I don't think I'm going to survive," she announced dramatically. "Remember me as Gail the Whale, lover of comfort and builder of terrible fans." A fish whispered, "Well, at least she's honest." The animals tried not to laugh. Even in difficult times, Gail's dramatic speeches were impossible to ignore. Then Gail became serious. "If I ever get another chance, I promise I will be more patient. I will stop complaining about every little thing. I will learn to be stronger." The animals felt sorry for her. Despite her mistakes, they still cared about their friend. That night they worked together to help her. The ducks brought wet plants. The frogs splashed cool water on her. The turtles shaded her from the sun. Gail was deeply touched. She realized that true comfort didn't come from perfect weather. It came from friendship, kindness, and having people who cared about you. A few days later, dark clouds suddenly appeared in the sky. Thunder rumbled, then heavy rain began pouring down. The animals cheered as water rushed back into the lake. By morning, the lake was nearly full again. Gail happily splashed her tail. She had survived. Everyone celebrated and thanked the rain for saving their home. But then came an unexpected twist. Pieces of Gail's broken fan had washed into a nearby dry field. Whenever the wind blew, the broken blades pushed water into the field like a giant watering machine. Within weeks, colorful flowers bloomed everywhere. Butterflies danced through the air, birds built nests, and bees buzzed happily among the blossoms. The dry field had become the most beautiful garden anyone had ever seen. Gail's mistake had accidentally created something wonderful. From that day on, Gail changed completely. She stopped complaining about small inconveniences and learned the value of patience. Whenever someone became impatient, she shared the story of the giant fan that nearly emptied a lake, and everyone learned the same lesson. Small problems often disappear with patience, but rushing to fix them can create much bigger troubles. Moral of the story: patience is a strength. When we overreact to small discomforts, we can create bigger problems. Learning to stay calm, wait, and face challenges with courage makes us wiser and happier.